Now would you look at that? Our mysterious survivor has awoken. Jespar Matumiel Delveric. Jespar for short. And you, my friend, are in my very own campsite. And before you ask, yes, the bandits killed both of the apothecary. The only reason you're still alive is that the impact of the explosion threw you right into a thicket. Luckily enough, most of your injuries are only superficial, and I've already taken care of them. Your fever, though, is an entirely different story. Suffice it to say, I was on the perimeter. And no, I didn't help for two reasons. One, I was outnumbered like crazy, and two, I'm in a happy relationship with my entrails. I wish I had a more heroic answer for you, but I don't. Sorry. Yep, quite a lot, actually. You're suffering from first-degree Arcanist's fever. I'm quite surprised that the old apothecarius didn't see that, to be honest. You're suddenly capable of doing things you previously knew only from the bard songs, right? And you're feeling unusually strong and dizzy at the same time? While drinking herbal potions leaves a, well, kind of a bitter feeling in your head? Yep, your magical talent has broken free inside you. I don't have any myself, but I've worked together with enough arcanists to know the signs. Simply put, what's happening is that your body can't cope with the magic. This isn't much of a problem at first, but if you don't do anything about it within the next couple of months, you'll find yourself running through the heartland naked, throwing fireballs at everything that moves. You'll lose your mind, to speak plain and all. Yes, of course. Though someone who's magically gifted will always react differently to certain situations than someone who isn't. As I said, some herbs will always worsen your fever, as will magically contaminated areas. Among other things, yes. Just as being magically gifted can make a person powerful, it can also make them sensitive and prone to certain conditions. Just don't overdo it sleeping in ruins or in the wilderness. Instead, set up a camp somewhere. Plus, as you've already said yourself, don't overdo it with potions. What? No, that won't help you in the long run. What you need is ambrosia, a special mixture of herbs that can remedy the fever without any side effects. Every good alchemist has that in stock, but it'll cost you. Visions? No. Well, none that I know of. The only visions I ever had were those that come along with a good pipe of peaceweed. You know what? Someone has to take care of your fever. And as it happens, I know someone who could. But in return, I want you to tell me everything. How did you get here? And what did you do in that temple? And what exactly did you see in those visions? I can't put my finger on it, but there's something strange about you. And that makes me curious. So, healing for information. What do you say? Then shoot. I'm eager to listen. I understand. My condolences for your loss. So that means you somehow survived this execution. And before you got washed ashore, you had this, this dream? In which you saw burnt bodies and a blinding light. I hope so. So your magical outburst didn't happen slowly as it usually does, but all of a sudden after this near-death experience. And with it came these visions. Interesting. I guess you know how absurd all this must sound, but somehow I believe you. Heck knows why, but I do. So, that means I'll introduce you to my employer. If anyone can help you, it's him. There is, however, one thing with which I could use a hand. The sooner we get that done, the sooner we can start our journey to Ark. Ark? The capital of this country? Walls high as towers of iron-hard stone, rest alone in the mountains in granite enthroned, never decaying, the ages surveying, guarded by the Lord, and blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth. If you plan on staying in this land, sooner or later you'll see it with your own eyes. Well, aren't you curious? I like that. I work for the Holy Order. Yes, but as you might know, this is the realm of Malphus, the guardian of the Lightborn, and here the Order basically reigns for him. It's both the spiritual and judicial center of this country, so believe me, you'll see for yourself soon enough. Splendid. There are some things that need some explanation before we can get started, however. Where should I start? I take it you've noticed that in the past 2.5 years, this world has fallen into political chaos, right? Civil wars, usurpers everywhere, you name it. And even though Enderal isn't directly affected by these wars going on everywhere, there are strange things happening here too. Take the Woodsers, for example. There have been an unusual number of reports of wanderers being attacked by them in the open, which has never happened before. And the same goes for the Lost Ones, the living dead. Until 2 years ago, they were a rather rare magical phenomenon. But now every other corpse not properly cremated starts walking again as if it were the most natural thing to do. The strangest thing, however, is what they call the Red Madness. Yeah, the rumors. I've heard them too. And I could indeed imagine that they're true. And that there's a connection, yes. As I said, maybe. If you ask me, the Lightborn were never more than false gods anyway. Please, don't take me as an example. I've seen that a long life is only one of the things powerful magic can achieve. And this whole false deity theory isn't that new, after all. And seriously, let's say the Lightborn really are as mighty and omnipresent as the revelations say they are. Wouldn't they have the power to magically smite me here and now for my insolence? The Lightborn were just powerful kings. No more, no less. But that's just how I see it. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. Splendid. You never know. But we're digressing. Yeah. It's some kind of mental illness that makes people lose their minds. Just a couple of weeks ago, for instance, there was a smith in Ark who slaughtered his entire family. He was drunk, but that doesn't explain why he screamed things like, "Fear the light," while he was doing it. Or a young noblewoman who killed herself by setting her family estate on fire for no apparent reason. Now, you might say that these kinds of things happen, but by now there have been more than a dozen of them. That and the fact that the possessed's eyes glow red shortly before and during their deed has made people call it the Red Madness. And just 3 days ago it happened again. Only this time it was a magister from within the Holy Order itself. Right, you're not from here. A magister is a kind of sage from the Holy Order, who teaches the young novices who are aspiring to become keepers or arcanists. Yarrow was his name, a man who had more than 60 winners on his back. He killed 15 novices and himself. According to the only eyewitness to survive, he entered the teaching room as usual to give a lecture on alchemy. But instead, he gave a strange speech in which he explained that humanity is corrupt, void, as he put it. And his eyes started glowing, he locked the door, and, well, he tore himself apart with a magical explosion. You can imagine the kind of uproar that caused. And unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. Well, I'm not exactly one for vows and austerity, so no, I'm no keeper. I guess you could say my specialty is recovering things that have been lost. Treasures, tomes, memories, and the like. And the Order hired me to do exactly that. They want to know how a highly intelligent man like Yarrow could fall victim to the Red Madness. And also if there's a discernible pattern to how this malady, or whatever it is, chooses its victims. True, but that's irrelevant. Yarrow grew up in a small village named Riverville, which isn't far from here, and according to some of the other wardens, he visited this area quite often after his partner's death. So it's quite possible we could find some clues around here. Shards of his past, if you like. I've already searched most of the area, but a second pair of eyes wouldn't hurt. What do you think? Well, for starters, I need you to travel to Riverville and talk to an old man named Alfred. He was a childhood friend of Yarrow's, and he might be able to tell us something worthwhile. Secondly, a boy from the village told me that he saw Yarrow throw something into the water near a cliff to the east. Go there and see if you can find whatever it was he wanted to get rid of. I myself will have a look at the house Yarrow grew up in. Here, this is a map of the region. The blue dot over here is Yarrow's old house. And at the risk of sounding heartless, you should head back to the apothecary's camp. Maybe the bandits left behind some equipment. If there's nothing else, I'd say off we go. Let's shed some light on this Yarrow and his motivations. Meet me at his old house when you're ready. I'll be waiting there. Huh. Well observed. Yes, I am indeed sublime by my path, but please, just ignore that, will you? I'm not a big fan of titles. Most of the time, they're just a means for boring people to feel superior towards others. Treasure hunter. That has a nice ring to it. But, let's just say, I help people to fulfill certain materialistic desires of theirs. Just like the Holy Warden who brings back the lost shoe to the maiden. Only the maiden pays me to do it. And I have a more flexible conscience, so to speak. Maybe. Maybe not. But let's save the socializing for later, okay? Usually I am always in for a good talk, but for now let's focus on the mission. Never walked back on the road from the aged man's abode. Ugh, blazes. Sorry. I know, I can't sing. Well, if it isn't my new friend. Any luck? I did, yeah. Some kind of closed-off room down the hallway here. Just give me some time to figure out how to get it open. Interesting. I didn't know about his companion's fate, to be honest. Irony of fate, isn't it? Murdered by those you wanted to help. But the Order will definitely be interested in these letters. Well done. That just leaves the old man in the village. Well, well. That's interesting. Good work. That should be all we need then. Splendid. I did, and now I finally know what to make of it. Come, follow me. I present a Star People's lock, and I bet my buttocks we'll find another answer behind that door over there. Doesn't surprise me. This kind of lock is usually only found in treasuries or castles, but they can be picked, though that's going to be quite the challenge without the bolts. Normally, yeah. It's quite simple, actually. Every keyhole has a matching bolt that latches into place once you insert it. And once all the keyholes, 5 in our case, are latched, the door the lock protects opens up. If you don't have the matching bolts, however, you should prepare yourself for the most frustrating break-in of your life. That is, if you don't happen to be Jespar, who knows a little trick. You can use wooden sticks instead of bolts. They'll break a couple of seconds after you put them inside the lock, but if you manage to get all 5 sticks into place before the first one breaks, you can basically trick the mechanism. It's all about speed, in other words. So I'd say you do the running, and I'll wait near the pressure plate. You ready? Splendid. Here are the sticks. All right, go! Brilliant! We're really good at this. Now let's take a look and see what the old Magister didn't want anyone to see, shall we? Oh, shit! Not a weak one. This Yarrow knew about magic, that's for sure. That leaves us with the question of what exactly this is supposed to be. I suppose that's his companion. Though it's interesting that he was already on the wrong side of the law way before his rampage. Well, burials are considered heathen here in Enderal, and have been forbidden for about 300 years now. Here, corpses are always cremated. The whole thing's called the Last Journey. The deceased is taken to a place he or she considered special during his or her life immediately after dying. That's the only way the soul can move on to the eternal paths. Sounds very poetic, but I'm pretty sure the only reason the Order introduced the law was to prevent plagues. Plus, they might have noticed that too many lost ones running around on trade routes aren't that much fun for wanderers and traveling merchants. Yeah, but of course that only goes for the little man. The rich and powerful still tend to their family crypts, and there are still plenty of old vaults around from the time before this whole last journey thing was begun. And it's good that way. What would life as a treasure hunter be like without the notorious noble looking for family jewels in a century-old grave? Let's take a look around and see if we find anything. What's that? Let me see. Uh-huh. A tragic ending for a tragic personality, I'd say. Well, I think that should suffice. Well, what should I think about it? Yarrow was a self-righteous fool, just like all these do-gooders are. They celebrate themselves as great messiahs as long as everything goes well, but once they fail, it's the bad, bad world that's responsible for it. The wise hermit has a good saying for that. People are only idealists until it starts to hurt. He and his lady should have simply stayed in Riverville. I think that if we all just spent less time thinking about other people's problems, whores would have fuller purses, breweries emptier barrels, and tyrants fewer minions willing to cut their throats open for the one true god or the one true nation. Yeah, we are. Here, I've got 2 teleport scrolls that can take us right back to Riverville. Just meet me in the tavern once you're ready to go. I have some stuff to take care of, so there's no need to hurry. Farewell.
Got a new delivery of ale. Anyone?
Huh? Now, if it isn't my new pal. How about a sip of wine? Here you go. So, are you ready for our little journey? It seems that Riverville's Myrid's injured, so we'll have to go by foot. Oh, right, you wouldn't know that since you're Naramese. Myrids are giant flying creatures. Quite nasty when wild, and quite useful when tamed. You can find Myrid towers all over Enderal. And for a small fee, the keepers in their Myrids can take you from point A to B in no time. But, as I said, Riverville's Myrid's injured, so we'll have to walk. Splendid. Let's wait until nightfall, though. That way it's less likely we'll run into an ambush in the pass. One more thing. Up to now, you've seemed more like the roguish type to me. In battle, I mean. Am I right? I knew it. I'm asking because I was in the market just now stocking up on provisions, and I got myself some new reading material. Here, I think you might find this useful. The Arizalian in My Bed, Sensual Confessions of a Vagabond Lady, Volumes 1 and 2. You know, for the lonely nights. Jokes aside, these are learning books, from arcanists or master fencers, depending on what you read. You know how to fight, but if you want to get better, you have to enjoy reading these once in a while. You're welcome. Then off we go, I'd say. You go on ahead. Just take the route leading north out of Riverville. It'll lead us straight to the mountain pass. Huh? What? You mean the living dead, the watirs everywhere, the frenzied civilians? I'd say this country's seen better times. But at least something happens. It makes this place less boring. Hang on a second. Quite the sight, isn't it? It's moments like these that make life so damn worth living. This place was once a trading post, in case you're wondering, but it's been deserted ever since the isolation. Yeah, that's what we call the decree that was made 30 years ago here in Enderal. Simply put, the Order decided to reduce their trade with other countries of the civilized world to a minimum. Not a very economical choice to make, but that was roughly the time when the Lightborn Eradan left Narim. The Order was probably afraid something similar could happen in Enderal. You know, open harbors quicken the exchange of information, which in turn quickens rebellious thinking, and so on. Since the decree, trading in Enderal has been subject to very strict regulations, and only the wealthy can still afford things like Termatralian wine or Chilean spices. Anyway, since then, a lot of once flourishing trading posts have closed down, such as the Three Rivers Watch down at the Sun Coast, or this one. Yeah, if you want to take a look for yourself, feel free. If not, let's push on. We still have a good march ahead of us.
Oh, did he now? Well then, you tell him that what he wants interests me as much as the color of his fucking balls.
What? Alright, that's it. Go and kick that bloody moron's ass, give him a knuckle sandwich, smack him in the gob, spank the living shit. Ah, you know what I mean. Oh yes, on my responsibility.
Oh yeah? Well, I'd love to see that.
Good, that will teach him a lesson. Here, take this for your help. Now get lost, or I need to take a nap.
Blazes, what idiots. Welcome to the Endralian people, my friend. There it is. Ark. Majestic, isn't it? And here we are. Welcome to Ark. I've got some things to take care of here, so let's meet at the market once you're ready to meet Grandmaster Tealor Arenthiel and his mages in person, alright? By his own son, Nerazil, yeah. But roughly 2.5 years ago, he suddenly appeared back in Enderal, accompanied by a handful of mages who once fought against him in the Great War. Weird, I know, but that's how it was. He did, yeah. It seems that something happened between him and them that made them sort out their issues, you could say. They're allies now, and frankly, nobody quite knows why. You can imagine what kind of uproar that caused among the Holy Order itself. But in the end, Arenthiel got things his way. You can say what you want about him, but he never lost his charisma, that's for sure. You're telling me. But apparently their alliance has something to do with this red madness. I guess we'll see what happens. Oh, sure, I should have thought of that. Pardon me. Alright then. Ark is divided into 5 districts, not counting the harbor. The Foreign Quarter, where we are right now, the Marketplace, the Nobles' Quarters, the South Quarter, and the Temple. If you're looking to gear up, I guess the market would be the place to go. You can find anything there, from food to weapons, armor, and whatever else you need. If it's magical supplies and alchemy you need, however, you best try your luck in the Nobles' Quarters. But prepare yourself for some dismissive looks. Up there's also the bathing house and the theater, in case you have the coin for that. Finally, there's the temple, which is hard to overlook. Normal citizens are not permitted to enter it, and from up there, the Holy Order reigns over this country. But if all goes according to plan, you'll soon see it from the inside. And then there's the Undercity. Yeah, it doesn't, and it isn't. The Undercity's a cluster of caves directly beneath our feet. And down there is where the poor and the sick live, not to mention those that the Order doesn't like to see in their neat, pretty streets in the Upper City. Not a place I'd recommend you visit, at least not unless you're looking for mischievous things. Great. Then see you later and enjoy your stay.
Entire world.
Well, look who's arrived. Did you have any problems finding your way around? This city can be quite a maze if you don't know it. Right, you're from Ostian. I almost forgot. They're quite fascinating, these places, aren't they? You can climb high, and you can fall just as deep. And every place vibrates with life.
I've got just what a weary traveler needs.
Here, put this on. And before you ask, yes, it's necessary. Just trust me.
Hey, you're an adventurer, aren't you? I bet you've got a lot of stories to tell.
So, about this fever. Usually those gifted with magic have to report their talent to the Order, and then pass a ritual that teaches them how to deal with their magic. The journey to the water is what they call it. Once they've passed that, the fever reduces to an endurable level, and new arcanists have their names registered in some kind of holy book. But there are other ways to get rid of the fever, and I hope my employer can tell you about them.
Hold it, my sir. No civilians beyond this point without explicit permission. Who are you, and what leads you to this holy place?
Business. I'm Jespar, and I work for the Naramese mages.
Oh, right. The mercenary. And who's your companion?
Marijo de Luna from Ostian, esteemed holder of de Luna's Empire of Tender Fragrance, the most prestigious perfumery in all of Vin. Archmagister Marigil sent for him. Didn't he tell you?
The Archmagister. Well, that does sound like him. Fair enough, you may pass. But show this place the respect it deserves, mercenary. You too, Meister de Luna.
You have my word, fair lady. Thank you.
This is holy ground, Outlander. You don't belong here.
Well, that went better than expected. Hey, it worked, didn't it? That's all that matters. Nobody will suspect someone who's already in the temple. Anyway, I think it's about time I tell you a little bit more about this employer of mine. His name is Constantine Firespark, and he's one of Narathzor Orenthiel's former followers, which the new Grand Master, Tealor Orenthiel, brought here by ship about 2 years ago. That means he's one of the former arch-enemies of the Order. They usually wear green, while the Order wears white or red. That should make it easy for you to tell them apart. Firespark's pretty much the eldest of Narathzor's mages, and quite well versed in magic, at least from what I've heard. Plus, he's a very gentle and likable fellow, which is why even the keepers like having him around. Let's hope he can tell us a thing or two about these visions, and help you get rid of the fever. Come, follow me. All right, here we are.
No, 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 no. That's not how you do it.
Blast it! I'm just being careful. We
Like
have to.
heck we do. Give me that thing, now.
Ouch!
Blasted, blistering blazes. That's what you get for working with fumblers. I told you, we
Master
should be
Firespark.
careful. What? Now, who the heck are you? Can't an old man have a moment to himself?
You hired me. The Magister, don't you remember?
Oh, right. Joseph the Scrounger. So why are you here? Had any luck?
Jespar. And yeah, we did find something.
Suggest you first of all tell me when I allowed you to drag your drinking mates up here. Do you need me to explain the meaning of the words highly and confidential to you?
I'm sure there's a lot you can explain to me, but let's save that for later. This particular fellow over here needs your help, to be frank. Arcane fever.
Is that so? And what exactly has that got to do with me? Let the keepers and their holy rituals take care of it. What is it with the costume, anyway?
This man's magic is different, Meiser. Just feel his aura and you'll see it. Plus, he's from Narim, just as you are.
Well, all right then, for nostalgia's sake. I really hope you're not wasting my time, though. Working with these religious buffoons is bound to make any rational thinking person go bonkers. Anyway, that chair over there. Take a seat, and I'll have a look at that fever of yours. All right, then. This will tickle a little. Yeah, you're right. This aura does feel different. Complex somehow and powerful. And do you really want to tell me you've only recently discovered that talent of yours? With that aura, I'm surprised that you haven't turned into an Obaya by now. Fine. Well, that is, we will help you. But first, tell me everything. How you got that magic, and how you met that scrounger. I see. Regarding this vision thing, I think that your mind simply played a trick on you there. Not that it's much of a surprise, considering what you've been through. Actually, you were quite lucky that the sudden outburst of your glance didn't blow your head right off. By all that's holy, I won't start playing your tutor now. If you don't know about the basic functioning of magic, then read something from Balador Goldenstein.
The glance on the sea of eventualities. Alongside, but apart from the reality we're in right now, exist countless other realities, in which some events have different outcomes, so to speak. A version of this very same room, for example, with the very same people in it, only that Meiser Firespark's beard is on fire. And what defines an arcanist, someone capable of magic, is that he or she can see those other realities and let parts of them come true.
Well, look at that, Jasper. You surprised me.
That's what I'm being paid for.
How powerful an arcanist is depends on 3 factors. How far away are the eventualities that he can see, how well he can bring parts of them into our reality, and finally, how well his mind can handle seeing other realities simultaneously with ours. Lighting a candle is easier than calling a meteor from the sky, to speak plain Inal, but as I said, read Goldenstein if you're interested in the topic. I'm not going to waste any time with lectures. Well, that's probably a sign that you should go easier on the booze. Skill, whether of physical or magical nature, isn't gained through touching some stones, but through hard work and discipline. Even though this screwball Enderalian talk of paths and predeterminations tries to tell us otherwise. Well, if that's what you want to believe, go for it. I, in any case, have never come across such a phenomenon in over 50 years of studying magic. And now we should...
It all begins with the dreams.
What the blasted blistering blazes? Does this room look like the bosom of a whore to you? Or what makes you think you can go around touching anything you get your fingers on? These documents are confidential, for heck's sake. I knew it was a mistake to hire a thug like you. Lashery always had a weakness for...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you telling me something about dreams that led you and Tealor Renthiel here, didn't you, Meiser? And you told me that in this vision of yours, the Veiled Woman said this. It all begins with the dreams.
What? Is that true? Oh. Then, this near-death experience you had before you woke up on the shore, tell me again, what exactly did you see in it? A room? Well, this is strange indeed. Anyway, for now all that matters is that we get that magic of yours under control. Whatever you clairvoyanced back there is of no use to us if you're dead as a doornail in a couple of months. Well, that's usually a plodding process. The fever you feel is a result of your mind not being able to handle all of these possibilities, so to speak. The ritual the Enderalians practice to get the glance under control is called the Journey to the Water. Put frankly, it means 1 year of hour-long meditation, bland food, and abstinence from anything that makes life worth living. In due time, the Arcanist then learns to filter these other realities from ours, and the fever gets less and less. Anyhow, luckily enough, we Neremes know of a way to quicken that process. A shortcut, if you will. I'm not capable of performing it, but another one of us is. Her name is Lashery, and you should seek her out as soon as possible.
Pathlessness, wherever you look.
There is indeed, and this reason is called ignorance. The Order's rituals haven't changed since the Lightborn slipped out of their cradles, and the Keepers do their best to keep anything progressive out of their country. But please, if you're up for a year of austerity and stern-faced magisters scolding you, go for it. I really don't care. She's currently in a ruin called Old Rashengrad, not far from Ark. Just tell her that I sent you. Give me that map of yours. Okay, now you'd have to be a total idiot to miss it. I recommend leaving for the ruin straight away. And you, Joseph, you're going to come with me and show me what your trip to the Sun Coast brought forth. Hopefully, more than a bottle of honey wine and a hangover.
Quite a character, isn't he? But I like him somehow. Here, I owe you this for your help back in Riverville. And in case you're in the mood for a mug of ale and a good chat, just drop by the Dancing Nomad in the Stranger's Quarter. I'll get myself a room there for the time being. With all that said, good luck mastering your magic, my friend. I'll see you around.
As I said, the offer stands.
Take care.
Just think about it, okay? Huh?
Hey, you came. Come on, take a seat.
Roast pork. Anyone?
So, tell me, how are you holding up? Must have been quite the whirlwind. Yesterday, a refugee from another country, and now a prodigy with a magic great enough to impress old Bushybeard. Well, that's good to hear. I'm quite curious to see how things keep on with you. You're different. I noticed that the time we met. Anyhow, tell me, what do you make of this country now that you've had some time to look around? I figure it must be quite the change from Nerim. Shoot. Yeah, I can picture that. You know, this is exactly the reason why I love inns so much. The sky can rain fire out there. In here, you'll always meet laughter and good humor. Not to mention all the good-looking men and women. Absolutely. Though I think I've seen enough of this place by now. Of Enderal, I mean. There's a ship sailing for Killet next morning, and as it seems, it will be the last one for quite some time to come. Who knows? Maybe they still have a cabin to spare for a handsome treasure hunter. Oh well. This entire thing was more a coincidence than planned anyhow. The Order needed someone with skill and discretion. I was around. End of story. I never intended to stick around for much longer. Heck, me as an ambassador of the Holy Order, could you imagine that? Not one step further, O fair maiden. Drop your garment so we may both bathe in Malphas's holy light. Actually not that bad, don't you think? Oh, you're too kind. But you know, at the end of the day, I guess I'd probably lack both the pathos and the idealism for such a profession. You know, I'm aware of how these esteemed keepers up there talk about sellswords like me. I could save 30 virgins from a Myrodon rampage. At the end of the day, they'd always say I did it for the money, because I wanted to bed the women, or whatever. I'm driven by inferior motives, while no matter what their actions end in, they are good guys, because they do things for the right reasons. If only they'd understand that it's results that matter, not intentions. What does the wise hermit say? Nothing is of less importance to the saved than the reason for their rescue. The only difference between a mercenary like me and a holy warden is that I'm at least aware of the fact that I do what I do for myself, and no one else. I'm trying to say that all those heroes and self-declared messiahs are no better than everyone else. In the end, we are all selfish, because we always act in accordance to what we think we have to be like. So yes, maybe the keeper saves the farmer from the bandits. But at the end of the day, he does it because he sees himself in a certain light. You know, the funny thing is that a lot of times, it's especially those who think of themselves driven by a higher purpose who are the really dangerous ones. They don't understand what drives them, and that makes them easy to manipulate. The only thing left to do for the capable hate-monger or tyrant is to somehow combine his own ambitions with the mental image of this person. And presto, you got your perfect puppet, only waiting to dive into the next hail of arrows for their honor, their religion, or whatever they thought of this time. It's just so idiotic, you know? The world would be a much better place if everyone could just acknowledge that the only reason we're here is that we want to be happy. Yeah, seek bliss and avoid pain, as the wise hermit likes to say. And believe me, once you realize that that's how people just work, life is a lot better. Oh, yeah, I do. And this goal is called surviving. And if possible, to be able to enjoy a good glass of wine or an exciting night from time to time. I don't know, call it a feeling. But if there is such a thing as a universal point to our lives, then I'm pretty sure we won't find it within the pre-digested philosophies or religions most people believe in. And hey, I'd be the last one to reject this great truth if she were to knock on my door, naked and tits jiggling. But until then, I'd rather try and find my own answers. Oh, Blazes, you make it sound so dramatic. Doing something for your own sake doesn't make you selfish. But yeah, basically that's it. You do? And here I thought I'd get an indignant cry and a splash of wine thrown in my face. That's how most people react. In any case, I think I'll take my leave now. I very much enjoyed our talk, but the ship to Killet leaves before the first cocks crow tomorrow, and I want some more time to think about it. Well, it most recently gained a good-looking Naramese man. Maybe that'll make up for when I leave. Keep your chin up.
I just don't see the fucking point. Please.